So hello everybody, good morning. Welcome back to our page. We have Jarrod Goldsmith with us today. This one's a really exciting one for us. Jarrod is a small business networking entrepreneur. He has all of the information for our small businesses and entrepreneurs right now. He's local to Ottawa. So what we're doing today, he's actually our TCC Cares small business that we are helping out this week. So make sure you go back down through our feed and find the giveaway. We have a really, really cool giveaway that we're doing with him. Make sure you enter because today is our last day to enter. And so what we're going to be doing today is we're just chatting with Jarrod to get to know him, to get to know his business, and to show you guys why it is important to be partnering with Jarrod, to use Jarrod for his expertise and whatnot. So Jarrod, thank you so much for taking the time to be here with us today. It's great to have you on.
Thank you so much, Elise. I really appreciate the opportunity, especially having organizations like TCC get involved and promote the entrepreneurship community. Like small business, right? People are talking about the fate of small business. And that's why I'm so encouraged to see your initiative, the hashtag TCC Cares program out there, promoting those who might not otherwise have opportunities to showcase and still stay in business. So thank you so much, Elise, and the team over at TCC. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, we're happy to have you on here today. So like Jarrod mentioned, we are doing our TCC Care. So what we want to do today is get to know Jarrod and his business. So Jarrod, why don't you start by telling us the classic, what do we need to know about you? How did you get started with this?
Oh, well, hopefully we have about an hour or two to get into that. So Elise, a little bit of a background story. I'll sum it up really quickly is I'm an archaeologist by education. And I tried to get a job in the government when I moved here back in 2002 or so, but not in that field. I was just trying to get a government job to get my foot in the door so that I could make a career out of it and eventually move up. I wasn't too concerned where I would end up in the government. I just wanted a day job so that I could continue my passion, which is playing music. I'm a saxophone player. That's what I also studied in university. And meanwhile, when I was in and out of government, because it seemed every 3, 6, 9 months, I'd have a contract. But then the contract ended and I was the first one hired, the last one fired because of budget cuts. I was never able to take my government career for granted. And all that time I was still playing music around the city and playing in different groups and ensembles, but I never wanted to go into music full time. But in 2011, my last government contract ended in May 2011. And I said, this is it, enough's enough. I spent how many years trying to get my permanency in the government. If there's ever a time in my life to go into music, this was it. And I got accepted into a government program called the Ontario Self-Employment Benefits Program. It doesn't exist anymore, unfortunately, but they funded me for 42 weeks to create a startup business. And I started up an all saxophone band. It's very unique. No, most people have never heard of an all saxophone band before. And it's called Sax Appeal. You see, well, there it is, my little logo there. And I thought, boy, this is really tough to go into music because I don't write music and I don't teach music. How am I going to make a living promoting this band that nobody's heard of? And the trainers at the time, they said, Jarrod, cool band, you need to go network to get work. I didn't really understand what networking was back then. But I took it to heart. I thought, this is my passion. My whole life have been building up towards this moment to go play music as a career. I started going out to every single networking event I could find. I used Eventbrite and Google and Facebook and Meetup and you name it, word of mouth. I was out probably 15, 20 times a week going to different events. I had them backed up, lined up throughout the day, breakfast, lunch, meetings, after hours, to promote the band. And after a few months, maybe 6 months later, I realized I had a good pulse of the networking community in Ottawa. But there's a lot what I liked and some I thought could have been done better. And at the time, there were 5 different chambers of commerce within Ottawa, representing the different geographical regions prior to the amalgamation back in the late 90s. And I thought, this was short-sighted. Business has no boundaries. Let's create a networking organization to bring together the chambers of commerce, 2, promote entrepreneurship specifically with a focus for small business, and 3, how do I tie that in with music? And I created this unique name called eSAX, which it stands for the Entrepreneur Social Advantage Experience. I mean, come on, Elise, I had to get a little creative. Not many things rhyme with X.
I think you did really well with that one.
Yeah, and so I started promoting. I still play the music, but I book other bands as well. It's not just, a one pony business. And the networking, I started creating these events every 3 months as a trade show, bringing together all of the ecosystem to promote small business. But at my, actually the banners behind me, that was from one of my biggest events in October 2018. We had over 600 people there.
Oh my gosh. And
that was the day that cannabis got legal. And I had Brent Wilson as one of the dragons who were there, and Bruce Linton, one of the co-founders of Canopy Growth. Ruckify, which is a local Ottawa success story, they launched at this event. And it was a huge success. But because of COVID, nobody's hosting in-person events anymore.
Right.
And when all of this started, well, the first thing to go was hospitality music. Nobody's hiring bands. So that part of my Sax Appeal business stopped cold. The face-to-face networking events stopped cold. Nothing was happening. And I thought for a while now, it would be great to go virtual. And this was the opportunity that I saw to really explore the virtual platforms and create networking events, specifically networking events, because that was my, what I wanted to do is bring together community and all that. And I came across this platform and I found it's the most extensive real life networking event crossover that I found. More information is on the website, eSAX.ca. But what's nice about this, Elise, is that I've, if you will, pivoted my face-to-face networking events using this cool platform, hosting other people's events on it. Like a couple of weeks ago, I did a 50th birthday party for a person out in Calgary, but she had friends all around North America. A couple of clients down in the States who are having large conferences using this platform that they hire me to run for them. And it's unbelievable. It's still pretty much the Wild West when it comes to virtual platforms. This platform that I'm using, it's a game changer. And this is my only way to make a living right now is by hosting events for other people.
Yeah, and I think that's fantastic. I mean, we've, as small businesses, we've all kind of had to adjust and adapt to new changes, but I think your industry especially is incredibly difficult because the whole purpose is to be face-to-face interacting with people. It's a person-to-person communication. And so the fact that you were able to, I think you kind of have to pick yourself up and dust yourself off a little bit at the beginning of all this because it hits you really hard. When everyone says, nope, you're shutting it down, well, now what do I do, right? And to be able to do that and continue pushing forward, that's something that a lot of people can have difficulties with. So, I mean, good for you for being able to do that in the first place. But I think the platform that you're using, because I've used it with you a couple times and I've joined your networking events, it's incredible. You get all the best parts of networking. You can do it wearing pajama bottoms and a fancy top, sitting in your bedroom and nobody would know. And you still get to meet other people. It's fantastic.
Well, you know what, Elise, more than most people, that the purpose of networking and staying in business is developing relationships with people. Right, at a conference, most people would say that the best part of the conference is just chit-chatting over the water cooler or standing in line with lunch and you meet people who in your industry. That's not really happening now. And I think that's part of the isolation that people are facing. Even the face-to-face virtual events, right? You're only seeing part of the body language.
Yeah.
And I have a whole bunch of videos talking about, body language and the purpose of networking. And it's something that I caught on years ago is the value of these little lessons, if you will, as a resource to help other people in associations, organizations, whatnot, learn the skills. And I think I have a couple of videos of TCC on there, but if you go to YouTube under eSAX, I have over 600 videos. And there's a series called Ask the Fedora. They're about 1 minute long, about little tidbits that people might find useful, anywhere from, what questions do you ask at networking events to how do I improve my business during isolation to, how do I connect on social media? How do I use LinkedIn more effectively? What's the purpose of networking? And a lot of people who are looking, let's say in between jobs, they're considering a career change, but now more than ever, like you said, Elise, people need to reevaluate where they're going. And I think because of this COVID situation, the isolation issue, there's going to be a lot of people questioning that. They're not sure where to go. How are they going to make money? I know a lot of musicians, they're not making any money. Are they still going to go and continue music, even though they've been playing for 30 years? What do they do?
Yeah.
It's going to bring out a lot more entrepreneurship, I'm hoping, but collaboration as well. So seeing, what TCC is doing out in the community and promoting and, supporting local, buying gift cards and giving that away. This is the type of collaboration that I love to see.
Yeah, and I think it's important too. So thank you for saying that. As small businesses, we kind of have to stick together, and even the larger businesses to be able to support.
Yeah, and I think, for as much as the small businesses are suffering, the solopreneurs, think of the charities and the associations and the nonprofits who rely on membership, like the Ottawa Board of Trade. Right? They're a membership-based organization. They represent the voice of business in Ottawa. But people might not want to pay their annual membership fee now because they don't see the value in it. But unless people sign up, who knows what's going to happen to some of these large associations? Something I'm also hoping to see is that more value would be put towards supporting charities and nonprofits. Yeah. It might be a little hard, but like, for instance, well, you probably know, every time we sell a pair of our funky eSAX, we raise $4.50 that are split between 3 charities: CHEO, the Children's Hospital Livingston, Ontario, Ability First Ottawa, and the Ottawa Network for Education. And we have 2 community partners who match our donations.
Amazing. And great businesses.
It's a brilliant opportunity to stay in business, to support local, and yet continue to engage with the associations, the nonprofits, who in many cases they don't have much outside help.
Yeah, and they're hurting at this point because I feel it. So I appreciate when businesses come forward and they say, we're doing our best to help others, even in times where everybody is having a hard time. So that's a very selfless thing, and I think businesses, it's a good characteristic to have, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about a selfless initiative. What can businesses do to really promote others in the community? I mean, at the end of the day, yes, we all have to stay in business. We want to stay in business. We've invested our life savings, and many of us don't have a plan B. And actually, I have a few videos talking about that. When you start a business, you have to go all in. You can't rely on your side hustle or your day job to make it work. What happens if you don't have a day job? This has to work. And that's how I treated my music. But what happens if your business is not making revenue right now? At least staying active on social media, and as counterintuitive as it might seem, increase your marketing. Get people knowing about your organization, your community, whatever it is you're doing. They'll keep you in mind. Under their fedora, they might think, oh yeah, there's so-and-so who's doing XYZ, and I see them on Facebook all the time. I kind of know them, I trust them a bit. Give them a shout. And that's how it's going to spread. And then I think that's how it's going to stay in business.
Absolutely. Collaboration is very important, especially in times like this, to be able to, and networking. And this is where the networking comes into play, right? So we're going to use this as a segue. Why don't you explain to us a little bit more on how you're hosting your networking events now, because I know that you have pivoted and adapted to all the changes. And then I'll get you to explain a little bit more how you're hosting events for other people.
Right. I mean, many entrepreneurs, they're told to go network. Most people don't like networking. They think it's a sales pitch. I'm going to be sold. And, it's very rare do they find an actual client at these events. Well, I would say step back for a second and reevaluate what you think the purpose of a networking event is. Doesn't matter if it's in person or virtual. To me, the purpose is an initial conversation could develop into a relationship down the road. At least just because I like your haircut doesn't mean I'm going to get an office space over at TCC. Well, it might take a little time for me to see what my needs are, to see what you could offer. But really, it's the interpersonal relationship between you as the representative of TCC and me as a potential business owner who might use the space. It takes time to develop that rapport. Think of any of your needs. Your banker, maybe your financial planner, even your mortgage agent. All these people, you have to like them before you're going to do business with them. To me, that's what networking is all about. Unless you really need it. Let's say I'm having a big conference next week, I have no music, then you might hire me on the spot without even knowing me. But I think in most cases, people are going to have to know you, at least initially trust or like you, in order for them to do business. But a lot of the times when somebody, let's say on social media, is looking for whatever widget, product, or service you're selling, it's going to be coming from referrals. And the more people who know of you and who appreciate you, and just like a genuine business person, they're going to probably send contacts your way. to the point where I'm getting referrals now that I've never met the people before. It's
Oh, that's incredible.
it's the networking over the years and being consistent. This is one of the most important things, right? Most people recognize me with my fedora. If you look at some of the earlier videos on social media, I'm not wearing one. I wasn't born with it. Actually, that's a funny story.
This is the only Jarrod that I know.
Yeah, I mean, most people have now because I've been very consistent everywhere I go. I keep an extra one in the car. Not that it's been doing much these days, but consistency is everything because people need to develop that trust factor. And if they know, okay, there's that Jarrod guy with the fedora. Okay, that is really cool. I'm going to go talk to him. Anyways, all I have to say is that's the first thing is virtual networking. It's still a matter of building that rapport with somebody. And, yes, it's odd. You're staring at this tiny little screen here. And how am I going to close a sale just from talking to myself? Pretty much.
Yeah.
But it's a skill. Networking is a skill about listening, about asking appropriate questions. You're great at it, at least, right? You're facilitating the conversation here. But it's bringing back the conversation on the other person.
Yeah.
And I think this is what a lot of people miss in networking. Again, it doesn't matter if it's virtual or in person. People like networking, or people like talking rather, about themselves. Especially if they're nervous at a networking event. This is where they're going to go, and they're going to blah, 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 blah for 10 minutes. And actually, let me tell you a story. I was at an event years ago, and this person comes up to me, throws a business card in my face, and right away I'm like, okay, this person's kind of new to networking. And I say, oh, hello, nice to meet you. And then they go off for 5 minutes about how great they are and they have to hire me and whatnot. And then say, oh, okay, I got to run, anyways. And they left. And they turned around and I heard them say this. They said, wow, that guy with the fedora, what a nice guy. Really, really nice guy. I didn't say a single word. They did all of the talking. And then I came home and I made a video about it, about how you should be listening and asking questions, because the more you can engage, the more that you could shape the conversation into a way to find out what their pain points are, how you might be able to help them, rather than just spout out about how great you are.
Right.
So that's a really important point. The second question that you asked is, how can people pivot to virtual events? Right? There's Zoom, there's WebEx, there's a whole range of platforms, and more are coming out all of the time. The platform I'm using, right? I don't work for the organization. I'm what they call a raving fan. I know it inside out. And somebody says, oh, pardon me?
I said, those are the best kind. You need to
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, every business needs to have a group of individuals who love it so much that they will be the ambassadors for it.
Yeah.
And I guess this is what I do. And I've pivoted my website to, here's what the platform's all about. Here's a couple of promo videos my colleague and I created. And here's how we can make your upcoming events seamless. Because at the end of the day, events still have to go on, right? Everybody's going virtual these days. But it's time consuming to have a staff member learn the program, understand it left, right, and center, ask, being able to facilitate all these questions that the public will answer. People hire me to create the platform, do a dry run or two for their stakeholders, and sit there doing tech support. How do I get my camera working, my microphone, whatnot? And my job is to make your event go smooth. There's breakout rooms, each room is a standalone room. Unlike Zoom, hopefully the Zoom gods aren't watching me right now, but people can bounce between the different breakout rooms at their discretion. They could see everybody else in the rooms. They have the private one-on-one conversations. They could share their screen. There's a whiteboard. There's the chat feature is very extensive. And unlike Zoom, when you open up a private chat, it opens up a new window every time. I don't know how many of your watchers, how many of the people watching this have had a Zoom meeting and they think they're replying privately, but it's actually to everybody, and it can be very, very, let's just say, hazardous.
Yes, that's a good way to put it. Yes.
Yeah, to be aware. And I've gotten my foot in my mouth a few times for doing that. But anyways, and then there's a stage presentation mode. You can have, you can address hundreds of people at once. You can invite people on stage to share your videos. I am totally sold on this platform, Elise. And more information is at eSAX.ca. And it has this opportunity to continue networking, conferences, trade shows. I'm doing an event next month for a high school reunion from 1963
Oh my gosh. That's
for this group
amazing.
down in Washington. And my thought is, if when this event goes smooth, then I say, if these bunch of older adults can use the platform, anybody can.
Absolutely. And it's such a user-friendly platform. Like I said, I've used it a couple of times through networking events, and it's incredible. It's like the next best thing, I find, at least, to actually being at an event in person. It's got everything you would need, and it's easy to use. There's really no, extra troubleshooting that needs to go on. Sometimes you get into webinars or whatever, and things aren't working, and nobody knows what they're doing. And so to have somebody, especially like yourself, you can set it up, you get everyone in, and it just like flows. It's natural and no stress.
Yeah, and this is it. I mean, when you're at a trade show, let's say you want to use it as a trade show setting, you walk into the trade show floor and you go visit a booth, and then after a few minutes you go to another booth and you go to another. Here, it's practically the same thing. You just double click a button and it brings you to another booth. Double click a button, brings you to another booth. And yeah, it literally mimics event. And I think I've been an early adopter of this platform. And I think once more people understand the value of it, I do demos, complimentary demos once a week. And you can sign up on the website. And then, if it's something you're considering for your organization, let me know. And I'll do just a private demo for your stakeholders to see if it would be a good fit for your upcoming conference event, networking event.
Yeah, that's incredible. So we're not done yet, but just a little, on the topic of all of this, at the end, Jarrod's going to put all of these links for you guys. He's got a lot of really good, useful information. Like he said, he's got a whole page on his website regarding this platform, and any way that you can get in touch with him, he'll list it all for you. So if you want to set up an event, or you want to just chat more or get to know him, it's great. So he'll leave all that for you. And then how do people reach out to you in terms of hiring you on for this kind of stuff? What's the best way to do that?
Well, I'm pretty accessible. I have my personal website is jarrodgoldsmith.ca, but most people would probably recognize me through the eSAX, eSAX.ca. I mean, the band is saxappeal.ca. I can just go on and on and on. But any one of those has a contact button. info@esax.ca will get to me. Contact me through social media, Twitter, Instagram. Well, Instagram, I have an account, but I don't use it as much. But YouTube is also a great opportunity because, like I mentioned, Elise,
I'll get you to leave the YouTube link there too. Those videos, I'm sure, are very helpful for people.
Oh, for sure, yeah. And this is how I have pivoted my business, is to help others, right? Like hosting these networking events, it was never a big moneymaker, but it's more of that community mindedness that I love so much. Like eSAX has three main pillars: collaboration, networking, and knowledge. And the sharing of all of that is paramount to bring together a community.
Absolutely. So thank you, Jarrod, for taking the time to go through all of this. I think this is phenomenal. I learned new things. I've been talking to you for months and had no idea you had a saxophone band. That's incredible.
Yeah, a couple of years ago, Elise, remember when I first started networking, it was only to promote the band. But here's where I learned a lot about my networking skills, because when I was out connecting with people, pre-Fedora, I'd be like, what do you mean you're not looking for an all saxophone band? And I realized, well, nobody's looking for one. But when they do hear somebody, say, getting married or in cocktail reception music for a conference, they might keep me in mind as that saxophone guy. The guy who could hire other bands for your needs, string ensembles, whatever, big band, whatever you need. But then when I started the networking, people started recognizing, oh yeah, you're that networking guy who also plays music.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool to see the evolution of it. But a lot of it had to do with this branding, right? Like when I first started wearing the hat, I was shy. People stare at you when you wear something as outrageous as something like this. But I thought, you know what? I don't care. This is who I am. I have to stay in business. This is the way to get people's attention. And a lot of my videos, like my Ask the Fedora videos on YouTube, it's been trial and error.
Yeah.
I don't have a background in entrepreneurship. I don't have academics in it. It's all trial by fire. What this works, great. If not, pivot and tweak it and change it. And that's why a lot of us as entrepreneurs are able to stay in business and weather the storm, because we can see different ways to collaborate and promote the community, and eventually, have people hire us for our services or products. but
Absolutely.
it's not going to happen overnight.
No, and pivoting is so important and adapting, especially now, even pre-COVID. As an entrepreneur, things are changing consistently. And what works for you will not work for anybody else. And so, you may be, as you're learning and growing, taking things from other people, best practices and whatnot, but you're gonna have to tweak it for yourself. Like, regardless of if you've got the step-by-step plan, it won't actually be step-by-step. It's gonna look a little more like all over the place, and then all of a sudden things kind of fall into place. And you look back a year from now, you go, oh wow, things are really good now, but you don't see it right away.
No, absolutely. And I think one of the strongest part of any small business, solopreneur, if you will, micro business, whatever you want to call it, is the ability to change direction like this. For instance, I don't know, I do a social media campaign, or I'm not getting much uptick. Okay, I'm going to shelve that and do something else.
Yeah.
Or, I'm going to change, as long as you don't change too much too fast, right? The public's going to get confused. Like if I started walking around with, I don't know, a cowboy hat, well, that I'm not going to do that, but I'm sure it would cause quite a stir, if you will. But I'm always encouraging businesses to stand out in some way. Is it using like hashtags like TCC Cares, because that speaks volumes to what you're doing. It's consistent, and reaching out to the community and finding ways to help other people rather than just pad your pockets. I think a lot of the public has this impression, who are non-entrepreneurs, that every small business owner is rich, they only work 3 days a week, and they could afford, whatever, COVID. Well, let me tell you something. Most entrepreneurs I know, we sold our, mortgage our house, we put everything we have into making our business work. And when those who say they support local, but then shop online on Amazon, even though they know their friends do the same thing, there's a problem. And I think if more people say that they support local, but they actually do. For instance, I don't know, there's so many things I could say. You know how you have Tupperware parties, or, promoting people? Well, when there's a launch of a business, support them, buy their products or services, share them online, share the word, get it out, because if there's a friend or family member who's starting a business, most people have no idea what's involved. I work 100-hour weeks. This is all I do. Well, yes, I'm a workaholic, but I love it. I can't think of anything else I'd rather do. And I think most entrepreneurs have that impression as well. Believe me, if I wanted to make money, I'd still be in government.
Yeah, but you need a passion. You need that fire, and I think that's what makes a successful entrepreneur. And it's good that you said, to support the small businesses. It doesn't even have to be financially at this point. I mean, I know that things are tough for some people. Even as simple as, like you said, sharing the pages, liking or commenting, engaging with things online, just helps push their stuff a little bit further to somebody who may be in a position to help them. But really, anything helps.
And you know what, Lisa, I'd like to put this into practice. If I could make a little bit of a game out of it. Like I said, I have over 600 videos on YouTube, and they're all original. I don't have a lot of people who are following the YouTube channel. I'm far from monetizing, that was never my intent. But please, if you're watching, go to YouTube, eSAX, and please subscribe, because it makes me feel good. And if you engage on any of those videos, I'll see it and I'll reply back. And it's this engagement is the true value of social media. Just because you like a video or a Facebook post or whatnot, it's great. But when you comment like, hey, Jarrod, or hey, TCC Canada, that was a really great post, then we'll engage. And there's a chance that all of my thousands of followers would see it. There's a chance that your followers would see it. And wouldn't you want to get more eyes on your business?
Always, absolutely.
So one of my Twitter accounts, the eSAX Networking Twitter account, has over about 20,000 followers. And every time you comment on one of my posts, I see, and I'll engage with you. And every time there's a chance that my followers will go follow you.
Yeah,
and it is astronomical how much value you can get just from engaging in a post. So please go and like the YouTube video, check out the channel, and let me know what you think.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so on that note, we'll leave it there, because I think that was incredible. A ton of information. Jarrod's going to leave all that information for you down there. Make sure to check out the YouTube channel, the Facebook page, the Twitter accounts, the website, all of the things. We've got a ton of information for you guys. And don't forget about the giveaway that's ending tonight. So lots of great things going up. Jarrod, thank you again so much for taking the time. It was great to just sit and chat.
Thank you so much, Elise and TCC. I really appreciate the opportunity with your hashtag TCC Cares initiative, and keep up the great work. And it's organizations like TCC Canada that are going to help entrepreneurs weather the storm. So thanks so much.
Well, thank you. Okay, have a great rest of your day, everybody. Thanks, Jarrod, so much. We'll talk to you later.
Thanks so much, Elise. Bye.